Good evening, Jonathan Reed. Can I help you in any way?
I found your notebook. The one the guard of Prewen stole from you.
And you've brought it back to me. That's excellent news, Jonathan. Were you able to keep yourself from reading it?
No.
Ah, the oldest temptation of all. If Pandora herself did not pass the test, I suppose I should not blame you for your curiosity.
So you're not angry with me?
Why should I be? To live is to make choices, Jonathan. And you made yours. Now give it to me, please.
Tell me the truth, Usher. Are you a vampire?
By the stole, you really thought you could force Usher Talltree to yield to your little mind tricks like an oblivious mortal?
Why can't I force you to answer me then?
I'm the primate of St. Paul's Stole. It comes with certain advantages, like accessing the greatest library in the country and avoiding answering certain questions.
So, are you or are you not a vampire?
As a brilliant man once said, to be unambiguous can only be to one's own detriment.
How do you measure the amount of blood on my hands?
I told you. The cards always tell the truth. Well, most of the time.
Is it possible to tell me my future?
A vampire's fate is much more delicate to read, Doctor. But I can try.
All right. Let me hear it.
You're on a path to redemption, Jonathan. But be careful. One single trip and you'll fall.
That doesn't sound promising.
Take this, young Ekon, as a personal reward for your strong will. Keep following the right path and you'll reach safety.
Goodbye, sir. Until we meet again.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. Perhaps London will survive the epidemic, but I see terrible trials.
It's locked.
We should be far from town already. All right. But where would we go? Anywhere. Anywhere that isn't here. And what is that, by the way? A safer place? A less strange place? And where would that be? Life is strange. And we are alive. For now, yes. But for how long? If we decided to flee, we should be far from town already. All right. But where would we go?
Good evening, Mr. Baker.
Why do I always have feelings of déjà vu when I talk to you?
Pericles, tell me why your brother disagrees with your presence here.
Agamemnon is naive sometimes. Although don't consider him a fool, sir. He is often more lucid than me.
At least you both have the same difficulty explaining what you're doing, and for what reason.
But is that not a common problem for all mortals?
What can you tell me about your brother?
If you are searching for a pleasant chat, you should speak with him instead of wasting your time with me. He has always been the more gentle of us.
That's it? That's all you can tell me about him?
For the time being, true kindness is the most valuable quality, my good sir.
How long have you been waiting for this man?
Sometimes I feel as though I've been waiting for him for ages. Perhaps it is my role in life to wait for him. Not a pleasant thought.
It could be dangerous for you, waiting here all night.
That's quite true. But what other choice do we have? We are waiting here until we finally go.
Mr. Baker, I have met many strange people during my life, but you are definitely one of the strangest.
Really? I don't feel particularly odd or weird. All I want to do is leave. What's wrong with that?
Why are you still waiting for this person?
What would be the point of going before meeting the man, as he's going to help us leave?
Tell me more about your strange feelings towards the city.
I would be happy to describe them, but it's too hard to explain with mere words what I'm feeling. It's unclear, too confused.
Go on, please.
Where should I start? The world is chaos. Men go mad, and nature itself runs roughshod over us all.
This is not the first time mankind has faced a deadly epidemic or a war.
Men kill each other, while nature decides to kill them all. I don't know what scares me the most. Do you?
Both can be disastrous, and a combination of the two merely increases their potency.
And what if they were just a sign of worse disasters to come? Something of biblical proportions, I wonder.
Pericles, what are you going to do now?
I don't know. Perhaps it's time to leave. Perhaps we should stay a little longer. How can I tell?
And where exactly are you thinking of going?
In a place where I will finally have that feeling, to be where I belong. The world has to be meaningless chaos to make such a heaven plausible.
Goodbye, Mr. Baker.
Hello again, Dr. Reed.
Tell me, how long have you been waiting here?
I can't say for sure, since I have no watch. But the night is still young, and I am not tired.
Is that the most honest answer you can give me?
Yes, I think so. Why does it irritate you, sir? Is comprehension really that important to you?
I'm a scientist. I try my best to understand things. I know the world has to obey unbreakable rules.
You know, or you want the world to obey such rules?
I know one thing. I do not understand who you are.
And it's better that way. What kind of life would we live if we could summarize a person in a few words or a few lines?
What are you really afraid of, Agamemnon?
The problem is, it's precisely what I don't know that frightens me. So I suppose I can't really answer your question.
If you finally manage to leave London, where do you intend to go?
A happy place, that's for sure. A place where I can smile because I know the next day will be better than the previous one.
Such a place doesn't exist. There are never any guarantees that tomorrow will be a better day.
That would mean I have no hope left, and I just can't accept such a conclusion.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Baker.
Dr. Reed, still conducting your nocturnal survey?
Is it true you were dropped in rank? Tell me about it.
Yes, it is. I made a terrible mistake. I deserved it. Sometimes I think I should have resigned,
So why are you still working here?
because I'm a damn fine copper. I just don't want to have someone innocent hung again by mistake because of me.
The death penalty is not an efficient deterrent. I sometimes think it pushes criminals to more violence, since they know they have nothing to lose.
I agree. I'm convinced all civilized nations should abolish the death penalty. Maybe after the war, once that bloodshed is over, the survivors will change that.
Why do you think there shouldn't be a death penalty?
I believe no one should decide to take a man's life. Not a nation or a government.
Are you a pacifist, Inspector?
No, sir. But I believe in divine justice. Only God has the right to decide who will live and who must die.
Goodbye, Detective Inspector Albright.
Goodbye, Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Yes, Jonathan? Spending next summer in France? Absolutely. Why not?
I remember Sunday walks in the park. I had almost forgotten I applied for a position at Pembroke. It was so long ago. Southwark. My departure for France as a promising student. My return as a brilliant surgeon, about to be killed. Transformed.
Don't forget to count each bullet you fire.
You told me that already.
Yeah, nice shot. You learn quickly. Pointing an empty gun could be a fatal mistake.
It's easier when I picture the bastard's face. You still working at this hour? That's what I call dedication.
I know you've been learning to use a gun, Sabrina. What are you up to?
I just want to feel safe when I go home at night.
I understand. Everyone has the right to defend themselves.
Yeah, especially when there's no justice around.
Goodbye, Miss Cavendish.
Welcome back, Doctor. What can I do for you?
Why are you teaching your waitress how to use a pistol?
Sabrina is a nice girl who's already faced a lot of problems in her life. She does not need another.
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
Are they stupid or something? I've never even been...
What can I do for you, Doctor? Is your sister using you and your skills for her own profit?
I've lost my sight, not my wits. Loretta couldn't manipulate me in a million years.
Are you sure about that? You clearly depend on her.
Let me be perfectly clear. I came up with the idea of the Swanborough cordial. Loretta needs me more than I need her.
So, Mason, you are the creative one in the Swanborough business, are you not?
Yes, I am. I am the one who invented and improved the family recipe.
And you do it all by yourself? Blind and isolated in this laboratory?
My eyes may be useless, but my brain is still sharp. Once a chemist, always a chemist.
Mason, why would you waste your skill and knowledge on crafting snake oil and fake drugs?
But this is my only opportunity to continue practicing my art.
By giving false hope to desperate people?
They all see me as disabled and useless. I'm sick of their pity.
To accept what has happened to us and what we have become is a difficult process. I'm sorry for what you've had to endure.
You'll not get my respect through cheap compassion, Doctor. Speak to me like I'm a normal human being. That's all I ask.
Do you know Braille, Mr. Swanborough?
I'm no expert, but I learned it in my spare time, yes. Why?
I found a strange document entitled Cure for Blindness. It's written in Braille, so I thought perhaps it was yours.
Really? Is that some kind of sick joke? Let me see.
Here it is.
This letter seems authentic. And it actually refers to an experimental cure for blindness. You have piqued my interest, Dr. Reed.
Could it be of any use to you?
No. This page is just a part of a larger diary. I'd be glad if you could find the other pages.
I found another page of the diary, Mr. Swanborough.
This diary is still not complete. The man who wrote it claims he is a member of some scholarly brotherhood called the St. Paul's Stole.
Really? I've heard of them. Very capable scientists. Perhaps the man who wrote this really found a cure.
I would need more pages to figure it out, but it's as promising as it is intriguing.
Here is another page of the diary we were talking about.
Ah, now we're talking. Ingredients, dosages, dangers, and side effects. This is it.
Is the diary complete now?
No. The author tested his work in a hidden laboratory. We must find out where it was. Please, find me more pages, Doctor.
Here is another page of the formula for the cure for blindness.
Give it to me. Yes. Brilliant. I'm going to give you the location and the code you will need to find the cure, but you have to listen to me first.
Why? What is it?
If you find the proof that this treatment for blindness is real, I want to try it. Do you understand? No matter the risks.
Risks? What have you read in these pages that you're not telling me?
You already know what you need to know. I trust you, Dr. Reed. We share the same passion for science. Please bring back the formula.
Goodbye, Mr. Swanborough. I'll leave you now. Good evening, Mr. Swanborough.
Is it you, Dr. Reed? Please come in. What can I do for you, Doctor?
I have found the secret laboratory, and I have the formula.
And the author of the diary, did you meet him?
Yes. He was badly disfigured. Nothing more than a beast. And I cannot guarantee it wasn't connected to his experiments.
I don't care. Give me the formula, Doctor.
Here it is. But please, be very careful. You're entering uncharted territories here.
This is what science has always been about, Dr. Reed. Thank you so much.
I can't say it's been a pleasure, but we're both scientists, and I am grateful you asked me to undertake this search for you.
I have something for you, then. It is the most precious thing I have to give. Even more important than the Swanborough secret recipe.
There is really no need for payment.
Please have it, Dr. Reed, I insist. I'm sure you'll find it more useful than I would.
Goodbye, Mr. Swanborough. I'll leave you now.
You still want more from Christina?
When we spent the night together, my wallet went missing.
Are you calling me a thief? I don't have your stupid wallet.
I know you. You're a nice girl. Can't we solve this amicably?
No, I don't think so. And if you think you know me just because we shared the bed together, you're just a lousy and arrogant journalist.
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
Tell me, Clayton, do you really think this young woman stole your wallet?
Christina. Yes. I recently met her. A nice girl, despite her questionable conduct.
How exactly did you meet Christina?
During my investigation, I offered my hotel room to her to rest and get away from the street.
And what happened?
The next morning, my wallet and my watch had disappeared. I suppose that's what you get for being a good Samaritan.
If you are going to sleep with a lady of the night, Clayton, I would advise you to be cautious.
I can't really be mad at her, though. She's just trying to survive. She doesn't have many options.
Was it wise to become so intimate with a woman you were supposed to interview, Clayton?
Maybe it was. But I have learned to look for the inner truth and beauty in people.
I apologize. I didn't mean to be rude. What can you tell me about this woman?
She is very sensitive. So nostalgic about her country. I saw her cry once because she'd lost a precious souvenir from her homeland.
What was it?
A scarf her brother gave her before she came to England.
Why are you so concerned? You seem to have something on your mind, Mr. Darby.
That we could make peace if I could find it and give it back to her. But I'm afraid she lost the scarf somewhere during her night shift.
I found this scarf. I believe its owner would be happier to receive it from you.
Dr. Reed, I may be a humble and dogged reporter, but I recognize a gentleman when I see one. Take this for your trouble.
Mr. Darby, I believe your feelings for Christina are deeper than you might admit.
I'm the journalist here. I'm the one who makes assertions.
But as a journalist, you also have to honor the truth. So, what is the truth about you and Christina?
I won't use the word romance, but yes, I do care for her. A lot. I hope the feeling is mutual. Ridiculous, is it not?
I believe love has neither boundaries nor rules, Mr. Darby, even if society says the opposite.
I hope more people will listen to your advice, Doctor. Starting with Christina.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
Did you steal Clayton Darby's wallet? Tell me the truth, Christina.
Of course I stole it. But I never thought he would come back to look for it.
Why did you do it? He seems to trust you.
For a time, I thought he was different from other men. In the end, he just wanted to sleep with me. Same as the others.
Perhaps Clayton is different. Maybe you two should talk. A conversation couldn't hurt.
I know what I am and what people call me. I sleep with men for money. If I can accept that, why can't he? No. My future is with the ones I love, not with Clayton Darby.
The ones you love? The money you stole is not for you, then?
My brother is still in our hometown in Romania. I am the only one who can buy him a ticket to England.
Clayton's feelings towards you are romantic and serious. Is this feeling mutual, Christina?
That is the least of my concerns, Dr. Reed. Perhaps Clayton has time to think about these things, but I don't.
If you had time to question your heart, what would it say?
That men are pigs. But it doesn't bother me as long as they pay.
Tell me, Christina, is it worth risking your health and your life for your brother's safety?
He's the only family I have left. I had to leave Romania without him. I can't be happy until he is near me again.
I understand your concern. I spent many months away from my family when I served on the front line in France.
Every time I write to him, I fear I won't receive an answer. It kills me to know he is still there.
But what about your life, Christina? Are you so worried about your brother's survival that you'll risk your own?
You think you know it all because you fought in the war. But my brother is no soldier.
I know. We all understand the risks to soldiers, but we don't necessarily recognize the civilian casualties caused by these conflicts.
Yes. Wars are decided by rich men who will never take the risk of being shot, raped, or maimed.
Does your brother know what you do to earn the money to bring him here?
Don't be simple, of course not. And he must never know. Everything will be different once he is here with me.
You are a tough woman, Miss Popper. I admire that.
Each time I was going to give up, I would look at that scarf my brother gave me. It gave me enough strength for another day. And then, I lost it.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can.
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
Do you know that Christina is hoping to pay for her brother to travel to England in the near future?
I see. No, she didn't tell me that. But that explains many things.
Do you believe she will ever see her brother again?
As long as the war rages in Europe, I'm afraid her chances of seeing her brother again are slim to none.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
So you only hurt people because you care about me? Is that it?
Don't be such a brat. I do what I must to provide us with food and medicine, that's all.
Mum would never have let you bully an old friend like Mr. Lewis. Shame on you.
Harry, I'm your father and I love you. But don't you ever speak to me like that again.
What? You're gonna beat me too?
Jesus. Give me patience.
Price, good cover.
You again?
Take a look. Don't be afraid.
What do you want this time?
Why is your relationship with your son so difficult?
Harry and I are so different. Sometimes I wonder if he's my own blood. Seems he's ashamed to be my son.
Why not change that then? If you used your strength to do good, perhaps Harry wouldn't feel that way about you.
How dare you tell me what I should or shouldn't do with my boy? Who the fuck are you to interfere like that?
I mean no harm to your family. But if you want my advice, this is no place to raise a child.
No matter where we live, Harry will always be sick and frail. At least here, I'm respected. And no one will ever dare touch him.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson. Good evening, Harry. May I come in?
Sure. Sure.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
You and your father have a difficult relationship, Harry. Tell me, did he ever hurt you?
No, never. My father can be brutal and rude, violent even. But he never touched an hair on my head.
What is going on between you two, then?
It's his job, if you can call it a job. He bullies people. Men and women we know, like poor Mr. Lewis. It's just not right.
Do you remember when Barrett Lewis was close to your family? To your mother?
Not really. I was too young. But I remember it was a happier time. Mr. Lewis was funny. He often had dinner with us.
Why are you sad, then?
Because it hurts to remember a time when my father used to laugh and smile. It hurts to realise he's as sad as me now.
How was he towards you?
He was nice, I guess. He never forgot my birthday. He always offered me books. I liked books.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Good evening, my dear colleague.
Loretta, your miraculous formula wouldn't even cure a common cold, and you know it.
The Swamborer's cordial secret ingredient is hope, Doctor. And it's something people around here really need.
A placebo effect is real and has benefit. But in your case, you could be murdering your customers, who may die because they are not receiving the necessary medical attention.
Medical attention? In Whitechapel? Trust me, my cordial is the best option they have, since it is the only one.
Well, as it is a placebo of sorts, perhaps it may have some positive effect.
See? You have to admit I'm doing some good. The Swamborer family is not poisoning anybody, Doctor.
Loretta, is your brother your accomplice, or are you just using him?
I would never take advantage of Mason's handicap. He is my brother. He is the person I cherish the most.
But if he's not careful, he could make a deadly mistake. You have to be aware of that.
He is blind, not stupid. He's always been the brains of the family, and the Swamborer cordial was his idea in the first place.
Loretta, why do you feel so guilty about your brother?
I don't expect him to forgive me. All I can do is make amends for what I did.
By making him a crook and a criminal. What if somebody decides to make him pay for your scam?
Mason is totally capable of defending himself. Just leave us be. We're perfectly fine.
I know how guilt feels between a brother and sister. Are you sure you're not trying to ease your own remorse?
Mason wants to be useful, can you understand that? And chemistry is his passion. And the Swanborough cordial gives him a purpose in life.
Good evening, Xiaoshu.
Wang Shanghao, Dr. Reed. It's good to see you again.
What are you doing with your time, now that you're back in Whitechapel?
I've decided to help the poor and sick of the neighborhood by handing out medicine.
That's very charitable of you. But why do it at night?
I've noticed that the most desperate people tend to go out after dark. Hence my presence, to help them when I can.
Giving out medicine? How can you afford to do that?
I am a rich widow, Dr. Reed. My departed husband left me enough money to last the rest of my life. I can spend some on those who don't have any.
Why don't you move to a better neighborhood?
I thought about it, I confess. To go back to the same empty home every day still hurts me a lot.
Why stay here then?
I am a woman of habit, Dr. Reed. And for now, I am happier being useful in a familiar place than I would be anywhere else.
How do you feel now that you're back in Whitechapel?
I've decided to follow your advice, sir. I won't forget the dead, but my efforts will be for the living.
Try not to lose yourself in the process. I've seen patients deny their own pain by focusing on the pain of others.
To be completely honest with you, I am also doing this for myself. If I'm destined to survive this epidemic, I need my life to have some purpose.
Do you still think about your departed husband?
Of course I do. I'll never forget my beloved Matthew, but how do I put it? Now I miss him more than I want him back.
I know what you mean. And I think it means you're getting better.
Maybe death will take me the way it took Matthew. Without warning and without mercy. But until then, I live on.
Goodbye for now.
Ah, there it is. Harmonil for severe anxiety and nervous disposition. Thanks for nothing, old fart. I'll get a good price for your precious pills.
How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy, all right? Now piss off.
It is clear that you have a somewhat contentious relationship with your father.
Oh, really? Nothing clever to say?
He's an alcoholic. That must make life difficult.
Oh, no, it's perfectly fine. No money, no home, no friends to lend a hand. My father should have died in France.
War can change you. I have seen many men who have lost their wits on the battlefield.
I'm not going to lose any more time with that drunken arse. Me? I prefer to take my chances with the wet boot boys.
Why did you try to steal your father's medication?
Why shouldn't I? What has he ever done to earn my respect?
Your father seems to hold quite a grudge against you.
Man's a walking gym ball. I ain't seen him sober since he got back from the war. But the gun, now that is a surprise.
Why do you want to join a gang, Albert?
I'm not going to spend the rest of my life sleeping under bridges.
I understand that living in poverty may be a doorway to a life of crime. But you are still young enough to turn back.
I'm not a child anymore. I'm old enough to do what needs to be done.
Surely there is more to you than this. Why not choose a different path?
Earn respect through righteous deeds. You will feel better for it.
Don't make me laugh. You don't know shit about me. You never lived in the streets, so keep your fucking advice to yourself.
Admit it. You stole the drugs to prove yourself to the gang.
Of course I did. The Wet Boot Boys got it sorted. Territory, respect, money. They'll take me in now.
Really? Are you sure about that? I don't see them.
I was supposed to meet one of their boys to prove I'm not a loser. Maybe something happened.
Goodbye, young man. Good evening, Benjamin. Can I help you?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Reed.
Did you know of your son's plans to join the Wet Boot Boys gang?
Barely survived the war, just to come back and see my wife die of the flu, and my son turn into a petty thug.
Protect your son, Benjamin. Don't you see? Whatever your quarrels, his salvation could be yours.
According to him, everything's my fault. We've nothing left to say or to save.
Your suspicions concerning Albert were legitimate, but were you sure he was guilty when you shot him? Tell me the truth, Benjamin.
No, I wasn't. I just went mad without realizing what I was doing. My God. I almost shot him.
You had better speak to Albert. You need to clear the air. He has to understand what you endured, and you must listen to him talk about his pain.
I'm afraid it's too late. I pointed a gun at him for the sake of a few pills.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Your sister seems to believe this miracle elixir business is somehow doing you good.
Loretto believes that keeping busy is what I need to be happy.
And is she wrong?
My sister is wrong about almost everything. But as long as she thinks she's in charge, she can be nice.
Goodbye, Mr. Swanborough. I'll leave you now.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
Calhoun, tell me about your relationship with Doris Fletcher.
Oh, Doris. Cold fire and burning ice trapped in a perfect body. Our passion was as intense as it was brief. What an actress.
How did you meet her?
On a boat to France before the war. She was thinking about a career in Paris, and I was eager to try French gastronomy. We both returned disappointed.
I expect you've seen her on stage, too.
She really is the best actress of her generation. Such frailty and such strength at the same time. I hope she'll play again soon. She's been away for too long.
You sound surprisingly sad. Have you regrets?
I think of her as a divine dish. I'm glad I was able to taste it, but I regret I could only get a bite of her mystery.
You really loved her, then?
She fascinated me, Dr. Reed. I can't imagine what she must have endured through her life to reach such a level of emotion and sensibility.
Goodbye, Mr. Russell. I'm sure you'll take care of yourself.
The stupid brat is gone. Good. I was tired of the maggot always hanging around our house anyway.
My God, Seymour. Have you hurt the boy?
Of course not. Why do you care so much about that cockroach? Do I need to talk to rats to get some attention too?
Don't be so childish. You know I love you, Seymour.
But you worry more about that stupid maggot.
Don't speak about him that way. Rufus has always been the kindest boy.
Yeah? unlike your real son, right?
Evening, Rufus.
Evening, Mr. Reed.
Rufus, tell me what you really think about Seymour Fishburne.
Seymour, he just scares me. A lot. Actually, he scares many people round here, even big fellows.
You mean his brutality is infamous, even in this shady part of town? That's impressive.
Yes, sir. How someone like that can be related to Mrs. Fishburne, well, it beggars belief.
The patience of a mother for her child knows no limits. None of us would be here otherwise.
You're right. And I certainly didn't mean any disrespect to the woman who takes such good care of me.
How come you consider it your only friend?
I found Jack when he was a baby, alone amongst dead rats. Poison, probably. He was the weakest, but he survived. Just like me with my parents.
Like you and your parents?
When I was 8, my parents died in a car accident. Rumour says I didn't get a scratch.
You don't remember the accident?
No. I was little back then. It's been a blurry mess and very quiet in my head ever since.
How have you survived? Did anybody take care of you?
I don't have any family left, really. Except for the good Mrs. Fishburne. She's like my family now.
So long, Rufus. Be careful. Take care.
Hypocrites, all of them.
Good evening, Mr. Fishburne.
Yeah.
Seymour, why are you scaring young Rufus?
I don't like his act that gave me mother's trust. I don't like it at all. Little bugger is like a fly around shit.
Young Rufus seems quite harmless to me. Your support could change his life for the better.
I don't believe in kindness nor innocence, sir. The boy is either a fool or a hypocrite who hides his hand well.
Goodbye, Mr. Fishburne. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Tell me why you're extorting money from some of the patients here.
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all.
Where did you get the idea for such an immoral scam?
Funny you should ask. The first time it was from a patient who bribed me to get a bed. It's only then I realized I could make a fortune.
Admit it. Nurse Hawkins is more than your lover. She's also your partner in crime.
Of course she is. How else could I tell which bed is free? I need to know that.
Have you no shame?
Don't you see the city is crumbling down? Today people are ready to pay to get a hospital bed. Tomorrow we may be fighting for food.
Goodbye, Milton.
Damn it! Why is this so difficult every time?
That is better. That is better. I will make it through one more night.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
I know you're taking drugs, Corcoran. Why take such a risk?
I need it to endure the long shifts. We have no idea how long the epidemic will last. We can't let it win.
For God's sake, what are you thinking? How can you be so irresponsible?
Irresponsible? I am devoted to my work. I am doing this for all the patients who need our help. I cannot abandon them.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Jonathan, my dear, I can never thank you enough.
Thank me? For what?
Come now, you know what I mean. I am... well, I'm just like you.
I'm glad you like it.
How could I not be happy? You offered me the ultimate freedom. More than I ever could have dreamt of.
How do you feel since you changed?
Absolutely fine. Did you know I can determine the health of every patient or nurse just by looking at him? Fascinating.
Have you taken a life yet, Edgar?
Don't you think that's a private matter? I would not ask you such an indiscreet question.
Do you feel the hunger?
Yes. It's very peculiar, not like mortal hunger at all. It's like I'm never sated. Fortunately, blood is no rare commodity at Pembroke.
Have you news of Geoffrey McCullum? I'm sure both of you would have quite an interesting discussion after recent events.
He left the hospital without being treated for the severe beating you gave him. We'll meet again soon enough.
Do you not think he will kill you where you stand?
Funny you should mention it. I asked him once what he would do if I were a vampire. He said he would give me an hour for old time's sake.
What will you do now that you are immortal?
Experiment, my dear colleague. I have an eternity to make scientific progress. I could be the only scientist able to undertake extreme experiments upon himself.
My God, Edgar. Did you learn nothing from your forays into folly?
I have, I swear. No more experiments on mortals. See? I said mortals. How quickly the mind adapts.
What kind of experiments?
Who knows? Nervous shock, brain damage, pain and recovery. There's almost no limit to what my body can now endure. I could be the next Henry Head.
Will you continue as Pembroke's administrator?
Of course. I can help more than ever. And since I'm already dead, I can't get sick.
Are you not afraid Priwen will find you? Next time, they will do more than abduct and torture you.
I remain a man of peace. If things were to go awry, I would flee rather than slice them up as you would, my friend.
Have you seen Elizabeth? Has she passed this way since you returned?
No. And I'm terrified to see her again. I really am, Jonathan. She could very well tear me to pieces for what I did.
Goodbye, Edgar. I'm certain we'll meet again. Good evening, Miss Teasdale. How have you been since you returned home?
Dr. Reed. Oh, thank God you returned safely from these awful streets. I was so worried about my father that I left without thanking you properly.
Please don't mention it, miss.
Good. I found him, you know. My dad. Or what was left of him. I think my abductor intended to do the same thing to me.
What do you do for a living, Miss Teasdale?
Before my kidnapping, I was a waitress in a pub. Now I'm unemployed.
Were you fired?
No. It's just that after my recent experience, I don't feel like I can go back to my normal life. I need to do something useful.
Be very careful, Miss Teasdale. You were lucky to escape death once, but vampires lurk everywhere.
You killed my kidnapper by yourself, didn't you? No offense, Doctor, but you're just a doctor. I don't see why I couldn't do the same.
What do you intend to do?
Dad always told me, Louise, if you want something, don't stop until you have it. I did my research and I found it. Ichabod Throgmorton, professional vampire hunter. I'll be his apprentice.
What can you tell me about this area?
I've never really liked this part of town. It was where my father wanted to live. I won't remain here much longer.
What exactly don't you like about it?
People here are contemptuous and elitist. My dad always said, Louise, always treat people like you want them to treat you.
You seem to cherish your father a great deal.
Dad was the best. Kept an eye on me, but let me make my own mistakes. Louise used to say, mistakes are the best teacher. You would have liked him.
I'm sorry you didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye.
That's all right. He's buried in consecrated ground now. Nothing bad can happen to him.
Louise, tell me what you really think about your father's sacrifice to save you.
I'm proud he went after me. I forgive him all his harsh words, all his bloody attitudes. I only wish I could tell him how much I loved him.
Yes. It can be traumatic, not having the chance to say goodbye to those we love.
Yes, Doctor. And there's no treatment for that type of pain, isn't that right? That may be the last thing my father taught me.
Why did your father feel guilty? He seemed so eager to welcome you back, as though he'd done something wrong.
The last time we saw each other, we had a terrible argument. I left the house and ended up in a pub. That's where the vampire met me. Dead drunk.
I see.
We argued a lot, me and Dad. But I always came home. I'm sure that's why he went to find me. He knew something bad had happened.
Your father never gave up on you. In the end, he risked everything to save the daughter he loved.
Yeah, that was my dad. Tough bastard, just like me. Even if I'd broken his leg, he would have gone looking for me.
What do you mean?
That last argument we had, it was more of a fight, actually. He slapped me and I kicked him hard in the balls.
Louise, what can you tell me about the vampire who captured you?
The little fucker claimed he'd fallen in love with me. That he wanted to spend eternity with me. Not a bad idea. At least that's the way it seemed at first.
Really? Did you consider accepting his proposal?
Well, immortality. Not a common wedding gift, is it? I think he just wanted to have his way with me. Can vampires even fuck, Doctor?
What? Well, I really can't answer that. Well, since they are creatures of blood, physically speaking, I suppose an erection is possible, but
Don't be embarrassed, Dr. Reed. I was just asking.
Do you need my medical attention, miss?
I don't need your help, specifically. I can assure you there are many competent doctors around.
I will see you later. Goodbye, Miss Teasdale. And be careful. Until we meet again. Good evening, sir. Do you remember me?
If you're here for a reward, you'll be sorely disappointed. But I'll gladly shake the hand of a fellow countryman.
I'm not here for a bounty. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed from the Pembroke.
A doctor? In Whitechapel? What an opportunity. My name's Bates. Cadogan Bates.
Do you require assistance, Mr. Bates?
Not me, but your skills could help a lot of people round here. That would help my business, because I say a live tenant's a paying tenant.
What help could I possibly be to your business?
That's simple. I already get good money from all those fleeing the war. Can you imagine what they'd be willing to pay if I could offer medical assistance too?
Mr. Bates, do not make me regret saving your life in this quarantine zone.
I understand, Dr. Reed, you're from a good family. Don't want to get your hands dirty. That's fine. I'll be happy to act as your middleman.
I've no interest in money. Perhaps one night I will visit you and take what I require. If that should happen, there will be no need for a middleman.
So it's a no, then. That's too bad. The Reed tonic could have really helped people, you know, saved lives. Isn't that what you do? I mean, people buy that Swamborough shit.
It's unusual to see someone so happy around here, especially considering the current situation.
Ha! Why should I be sad now? There've always been wars, disease, tragedy. There always will be.
That's an unusual way of seeing things in these trying times.
I don't see why I should shed a tear for another man's woes. I'm healthy, and I intend to stay so.
What is your business, exactly?
I offer fair lodgings for a modest price to the poor and weary of Whitechapel.
I see. And what about those who cannot pay?
Well, deals can be done, if you know what I mean. Money's not the only currency. After all, I'm not immune to a pretty face.
In other words, you take advantage of these poor lost souls.
Begging your pardon, I thought you was a man who could appreciate the complexity of the modern world. Things ain't just black and white, you know.
Tell me, what's your honest opinion of the increasing violence in London?
People are just beginning to discover what we've always known. This city's rotten to the core. They just took their bloody time to wake up and notice it.
What do you mean?
People are acting like the violence is news. But it's always been savage down here. It just bubbles to the surface every now and again.
You seem to have recovered well since your attack. Do you ever think about what happened to you?
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. It made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you. I want to know everything about the recent violence, Cadogan. And I want the truth.
Well, rent may be a bit high, and yeah, I've had to evict a few people. But that's business, isn't it?
Take this as my final warning. You will not profit from the misery of others. Business is one thing, but what you do is quite another.
Really? What you gonna do? You ain't from here. You ain't Whitechapel, Doctor. You wouldn't know the first thing about playing dirty, even if you wanted to.
Since I took an oath to help people, can I be of assistance?
Well, seen better days, that's for sure. But it was bound to happen with all these refugees about.
I will see you later. Goodbye, Mr. Bates.
What good fortune brings you back to me, Jonathan? What is it, my dear?
I'm afraid it's bad news, Elizabeth. The worst, actually.
Please, speak up.
Edgar is no longer in McCullum's grasp. I resolved that matter.
Where is our good friend now? Is he well?
Of a sort. His injuries were mortal. I had no choice but to make him one of us. To save him, or to punish him.
To punish him? I fail to understand. And what is the source of this cold tone in your voice?
Edgar Swansea was responsible for the Skal epidemic, Elizabeth. It was he who unleashed the deadly scourge upon London.
What? Are you certain? This is the most terrible accusation of all.
He confessed everything to me. He sought to cure the disease, to exploit vampire blood to stop the epidemic. But he unwittingly gave birth to a catastrophe.
All those poor victims. How could he do it? What happened?
Edgar's behavior was beyond lunacy. He had neither the discipline, knowledge, nor the proper facilities to conduct blood experiments.
I must say I'm shocked, Jonathan. Who would have thought it? And the poor patient. Let me guess. It was Harriet Jones, was it not?
Yes. That explains how Doris Fletcher was infected, and how she became an Ichor. She secretly visited her mother at Pembroke.
Then we have no choice. We must act quickly, Jonathan. We must return to the sewers and put an end to the threat poor Harriet embodies.
I have one more matter to discuss with you. Harriet Jones was the primary case, but do you know what a healthy carrier is?
There is a tone in your voice that frightens me, Jonathan. What are you trying to say?
It was your blood Edgar used for his experiment on Harriet Jones.
What? No. No. This can't be. Oh.
Elizabeth. Are you all right?
No, I have to go.
What do you mean?
Leave me alone. Save the city, Jonathan. Save what can be saved.
Elizabeth, I need answers. Why did your blood
Stay
cause
away
this?
from me. Please. I swear I never was your enemy.
Wait! No! Elizabeth! Now would be a good time to blend the recipe Marshall used when he fought the disaster. I think I know where to find what I need.
Welcome back, my mortal peer. Let me look at you with my piercing new eyes.
Good evening, Aloysius. How do you feel?
Mr. Dawson to you. You may be my maker, and I thank you for that. But we must not forget etiquette.
Forgive me, sir.
You're forgiven, my dear doctor. And if you need anything, even the most expensive items to help you in your mission, you just have to ask. I'll be glad to sell you some of the rarest goods I own.
Good evening, Lord Redgrave.
Welcome, Lance-Bearer. To what do we owe this pleasure?
I've located the true origin of the epidemic, and I'm about to end it.
Good. We've held out thus far, but the time has come to put an end to this crisis. Tell me, what do you need?
The blood of William Marshall.
The blood of William Marshall? Of my maker? Are you mad? This blood is the purest of all. My maker proffered it to me on the battlefield. I cannot hand it to you.
This is more important than the club, you, or me. This is London's last hope.
I see. Well, in that case, given the gravity of the situation, I suppose I can spare you a drop.
Thank you, my lord.
Now go, Lance-Bearer. Craft a legend to be sung to Ascalon recruits for the ages to come.
Good evening, Vampire Hunter.
Are you here to end me, Leech? You'll find I will not be killed easily.
Not at all, McCullum. I am here because I need you.
Really? I'm intrigued. Speak up, then.
I need the blood of a king. The blood of Arthur. I'm certain you possess it, and I must have it.
The Guard's most sacred and precious relic. Why would you? You found Marshall's memoirs. I should have destroyed that book.
I need the antidote to save this city, McCollum.
It is within me to take your words as truth. I want to, but I must know more. What precisely are your plans?
I have found the carrier, McCollum. The infection's source. It may be science, or some supernatural power that's responsible for all this. But I will harness either or both to end the epidemic.
A vampire doctor. My God, you're a terrifying creature. Jonathan Emmett Reed.
Do you not understand? We wanted the same thing from the outset. A means to end this vampire epidemic.
Not enemies. Maybe that is so. Take it then. I see no other hope for this city. If this is some trick, you will be damned, Dr. Reed.
Thank you. Can we speak more?
Indeed. Why not?
Why are you here?
The man who raised me after the brutal murder of my parents. He's buried here.
Were both your parents killed by vampires?
Yes. And yet worse. My father returned to Dublin a vampire and tore out my mother's throat.
And who was this man?
Carl Eldritch. One-time leader of Prewin. He killed my father in front of me. Helped me hunt my brother Ain after teaching me how to kill leeches.
What will the Guard of Prewin do now? Will you stop the Great Hunt?
Yes. But we shall continue to protect innocents from beasts like you and your red-headed friend.
Like me?
I am indebted to you for sparing me at Pembroke. But this won't always be the case. I'm no coward like those St. Paul Stowe brothers.
How long have you known Lady Ashbury? Where is she? And what will you do to her?
We saw you meeting her, so of course we investigated. But she is gone. Our scouts reported she has sold some paintings and departed for an unknown destination.
Adieu, vampire hunter.
Until we meet again, blood drinker.
There it is. Insulin. Much more efficient than garlic against blood poisoning and sepsis, and much less dangerous for me. Thank you, Dr. Polescu. The blend seems stable. Time to go and find Harriet in the sewers.